What is going on, everyone? It is Rod, and we're back with the essential shortcuts. This time, we're doing the RMC glider cut. This is a shortcut that I actually didn't even think of when I was thinking of potential shortcuts. Oh my god, I missed the trick. But imagine that, but with a trick, and that is the RMC glider cut. I didn't even think of this when I was thinking of future videos for essential shortcuts. If you guys missed it, the last video we did was Hyrule Circuit gap jump. Be sure to hit the top right corner of the screen to see that. And the reason I didn't think of it is because shortcuts like that Hyrule Circuit one, they're done shroomless, and you need to do it every lap. It's like essential. It's an essential shortcut. I go into it in that video, so be sure to check it out. But this shortcut's a bit different. You're not going for this every lap. You're not going for it shroomless. But the reason it is an essential shortcut is because of just how useful it is, and because of how quickly you need to make the decision of whether you're going to do it or not. And the other reason it's essential is because if you mess it up, it's bad. It's like there's not a lot of room for error, and the risk versus reward, if you mess it up, you're kind of screwed, because you're going for a glider. There's a whole multi-step process that you have to go through, and we're going to talk about all that. But just looking at it from this angle, you can see ahead of me is the rest of the track, and right on the left where that red and white border ends on the track is an item set. So kind of like the Hyrule Circuit shortcut, you're missing an item set, but you're kind of not, because the glider on the right actually has 2 item boxes. They're single item boxes instead of a double, but that doesn't really matter because you just have a little bit of the track to go, and you're using a mushroom anyway. So, and getting that item is actually really helpful. I would even say that this shortcut would be fine if there was no item set, because of just how useful it is. And part of the reason it is so useful is because you're in the air, which means that you cannot be hit by any ground items. And the end of GBA Mario Circuit is chaos. It's absolute chaos. And you can get screwed over bad at the end of this track. So by going onto the glider and then landing on the wall, you completely skip all of that. The only thing you can get hit by is the shock. And honestly, if there's a shock at the end of GBA Mario Circuit and you're not dodging it, you're kind of screwed anyway. So it is such a useful shortcut to go for. It is just it's essential, guys. It's an essential shortcut, which is why we're talking about it. And we're going to kind of split it up. So as you can see, or as you saw earlier, I did it with 1 mushroom, and in my previous video, basically the reason I'm actually thought of this is in my last video, I did normal online races, and I just did the shortcut at the end of a race and got first, and didn't really think too much about it. But I got a lot of comments being like, oh my god, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know there was a glider. I didn't know that you could land on the wall. That's so useful. How do you do it? What? So I was like, oh, I should teach you guys, because I kind of forgot that it's not that well known. And a lot of people, when they first are playing the game and they are playing this track, they're racing along and they're like, oh, this is a nice track. Oh wait, there are trees over there. Oh wait, there's a glider over here. So I could do a shortcut. Let's say it's the next lap. I'm coming around this turn. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna mushroom. I'm gonna glide, and oh my god, this was so fast. I'm so good at the game. And you just lost yourself time. There's no way this was faster than just the normal route. Going wide to the glider to then just fly over the track and land on the track, that's not what you want to do. What you want to do is what we're going to talk about now. So basically, this shortcut, I'd say there are 3 steps in the shortcut. The first step is the mushroom usage, because you can do it with 1 mushroom. The second step is the entrance into the glider, and the third step is landing on the wall. And I guess there's an extra 4th step, which is getting off of the wall. But those 4 steps are all you need to do the shortcut. So we're going to go through them one by one, except we're actually going to skip the first step for now and talk about how to use 1 mushroom after we learn all the other things. Because first we're just going to say, all right, let's suppose I had 3 mushrooms, or a golden, or 2 mushrooms. This shortcut is infinitely easier with 2 mushrooms rather than 3. And the reason is because, look, when you're going and you're using a mushroom around this turn, and yes, we're not doing it like I just did. We're not going to be going wide over here and using our mushroom at this grass. We're going to be using our mushroom around this grass and skipping this turn, and then combining it into the glider. So we're going to use a mushroom here. This is just the general path of the shortcut. We're going to use a mushroom through this grass, and we're going to be drifting. and then we're gonna counter steer and manage to we're gonna be drifting left, but we're gonna be turning right. We're gonna be turning left to go right. I talk about this in my previous video called whatever video. It's on the top right corner of the screen. It's all about drifting. But basically, we're gonna counter steer our way between these two trees, and then to the glider. And then once we're on the glider, I don't know if this will work because I don't have enough speed. Do I have enough speed? Like, not really. But once we're on the glider, we're going to make our way onto the wall like you saw in the beginning of the video, and then we're going to get off the wall. That is the general pathing of the shortcut. This grass turn into the trees, or in between the trees, into the glider, onto the wall, and off the wall. That is the general path. And the reason we're going to talk about the mushroom is at the end is because, look, if I use my mushroom through this turn, I'm like, oh, I want a mushroom through this turn, and oh no. My drift ran out, my mushroom boost ran out, so my drift canceled in the off-road, and then I failed the shortcut because I don't have enough speed going to the glider. So we're going to talk about the specific timing of the mushroom and jumping and everything after we talk about the general path. So, as I said before, you're going to come here, you're going to use one mushroom. Let's say for this turn, I got a lot of air there, that was weird, but then we use our other mushroom, and we're on the glider, and we're on the wall, and I didn't teach you guys anything because I just showed you it, but let's talk about what I just did. The most important thing is your exit off of the glider. You want to be exiting the glider so that you're basically perfectly lined up to get to the wall. So you want to be like diagonal left, and you know, you basically perfectly, you wouldn't need to touch your stick at all, but obviously you can never really get it that perfect. So you're always going to be adjusting slightly when you're in the air. I don't have a mushroom, but you know, when you get into the shortcut, you want to be basically lined up like that. I tried to brake, but you see that it shot me off, and I'm going towards the wall. I don't want to be going towards the track. I want to be going towards the left and towards the wall. And when we're in the air, the first thing we're going to want to do, is hold down on our stick so that we're tilting back in the air, because a lot of times, like the way it happened in the video yesterday is, or the video that I uploaded yesterday, I like stuck to the grass, so I didn't get a lot of speed going off the glider and not a lot of air. I kind of got stuck to the grass. I messed up my jump, which we'll talk about later, and so I really had to tilt back on my controller, tilt back, so that I'm able to land on the wall. When you're tilting back like that, it's pretty hard to see where you're going, which is why if we're able to do the early part of the shortcut well and better, then we'll be able to do the ending part of the shortcut easier, like landing on the wall. We'll be able to do easier. So let's see, am I gonna fall off the wall? I am. And actually, that's what a lot of people didn't know. A lot of people did not know that you are able to land on the wall. And yeah, you are able to land on the wall and drive on it, and it's very cool. But let's start talking about the specifics of the shortcut. All right, so we're kind of doing like a backwards process for learning the shortcut. We're starting at the end, and then we're going to work our way to the beginning. But let's talk about this glider, because it's really just being able to handle yourself in the air, being able to control where you're going, and just landing on the wall. That's the number one thing, because if you miss the wall and you land in the grass and you don't have any mushrooms, like that's bad. If you miss the wall and you fall off the track, that's bad. So that's why there's a lot of room for error, like I said earlier, and you really need to be able to get it down. So let's say I'm coming in. I mean, you're never gonna come in from this angle, but the idea is through your drift, you're gonna be drifting from the side, and you want to shoot off, like I said, I guess like the second arrow to the left, in between the second and third arrow from the left is where you want to be facing. And let's see, if I'm coming in from this angle with my mushroom, I'll try to do it with my mushroom here. So let's say I'm going, and boom, like right there. And look, I'm perfectly lined up. I can adjust a little. And the thing is, you don't want to stay in the air too long because it kind of gets weird. Like I'll show you what happens right now. So like you saw there how I tilted down at the end. If you don't do that and you just go for the shortcut and you don't tilt down, you're kind of flying, you're flying, and then like Lakitu doesn't like the fact that you're flying close to the end, and you kind of like, I wasn't touching anything there. I kind of just got pushed over into the wall, and it's bad. So you want to tilt up on your controller, like up on the joystick, so that you get down on the wall once you're lined up for the wall. So you're tilting down on your controller, you're tilting back in the air to get aligned with the wall, and then you're tilting up on your controller, you're tilting down in the air to land on the wall. So one more time, the whole wall situation is you trick off on the left side of the glider, you get onto the wall, And also, you want to land into a drift. So I'll start showing hand cam in a sec, but you want to be holding the drift button while you're in the air before you land on the wall. You want to be holding the drift button so that when you tilt down and land on the wall, you're immediately starting a drift, and then you just drift off. There's two ways to exit the shortcut. You can do what I just did there, and you just do one simple mini turbo drift, and right when you land about right here, you just release your mini turbo. Or you can hold it and release a super mini turbo around over here. Both ways are like about the same. It also really depends on like what's going on around you. One probably saves time over the other, but nothing crazy. So in terms of races, for time trials it's different. But let's show some hand cam. All right, so we are now in the hand cam portion, and we're only in the first half, or I guess the second half of this shortcut, but we haven't talked about the first half. This is quite a complicated shortcut, and I don't want it to be too confusing for you guys, but you need to understand all these little steps, and then you put it together, and it's super easy. So we're just talking about the glider now. We're assuming that we have a mushroom boost going through here, and just wash my hands. Basically, you're doing your thing, and I mean the whole glider entry is wonky with using my mushroom there, but you land like that, and then you land like that. So you guys probably saw that I started my drift in the air so that I could land on the glider, and then it's just adjusting in the air. You just want to get a feel for it in the air. How you could land on the wall. It's just practice. Like I'm not aiming for anything when I go off the glider. I'm just aiming to the general left direction so that I can land on the wall. I'll do a 2 mushroom version here. So let's see. I use 1 mushroom. I use 2nd mushroom in between the trees. I'm on the left side of the glider. I'm perfectly straight onto the wall, and you see actually there I tilted down too late, so Lakitu started to take control and I started to be wonky, so I had to kind of brake because I had too much speed. But you want to tilt down basically as early as you can. Once you can see that you're going to be on the wall, you want to tilt down. So that's the whole glider section. Now let's talk about the mushroom. Alright, so we basically have the shortcut down, or we do have the shortcut down if you have multiple mushrooms. It's just really maneuvering yourself in between those 2 trees, getting to the left of the glider, and you don't want to be perfectly straight onto the glider. If this is the glider, right, you don't want to be like this. You want to be at an angle like that, and technically you would be on the left side. So let's say this was the glider. As I said, the 2nd or 3rd arrow, except you want to be at an angle, so you really be like this. I mean, you're drifting, you're mushrooming, so it's all going so fast, but this is the general area that you want to aim for, so that when you're drifting, so you'll have, actually no, you won't, because we're gonna talk about it. So you just want to if you're doing the multiple mushroom version, then you're going to be drifting, and you're going to be holding your drift the whole time, so then you're going to release your mini turbo and trick off the glider. But that's if you're doing the multiple mushroom method, because if you're doing the single mushroom method, as we talked about earlier, your drift does not last that long. The mushroom ends, and you actually, you lose your mini turbo in the grass, and it's bad. So how do we do the shortcut with one mushroom? Damn, I cannot talk. All right, how do we do the shortcut with 1 mushroom? Well, GBA Mario Circuit is kind of interesting in that all the roads are like this. So there's road, then there's this red and white border, and then there's this dirt little strip, and then there's this grass. But the thing is that the grass is on an incline. You can kind of see that it's higher than the dirt. So what this results in is that you're driving up a little. It's kind of like a mini ramp, the grass. But the thing is that it's off-road, so you can't trick off of it or really use it to your advantage because you're going to slow down. But in this game, when you drift into off-road, you keep your drift for a very short amount of time. So certain shortcuts, like in my 150cc shortcut video, like on Mario Stadium and stuff, you keep your drift in the off-road for just a very short amount of time, which allows you to do something like that, where you can release your mini turbo in the off-road. On this track, it's even better because the off-road has this mini ramp with the grass. So if you release your mini turbo in the off-road right at this mini ramp created by the grass, you get a lot of air, you get a lot of height. And let me okay, I thought my audio stopped recording, but it didn't. Let's go. And so yeah, if you time your release with the grass ramp, let's call it a grass ramp, you get a lot of height and you skip a lot of off-road. So this is done in this track when you're coming around here and you want to skip this turn. You get a super mini turbo and you release it right. You see how much air I got there? You release it right on the grass so that you just jump over the off-road. And we're going to use this to our advantage in 2 ways. It's very complicated. The first is that when we're drifting into the first portion of the off-road, like this turn, you can see that there's this ramp again, this little mini ramp, and you can see that Roy is literally like, his bike is tilted up because of this grass. So we're going to use that to our advantage to keep our drift. Because, usually if you drift into off-road, you keep it and then it goes away because you can't drift in off-road. But if you notice there, I got some height when I drifted into that specific turn. So, like, also right there, I mean, I messed up the mini turbo, but you get some height when you drift into a turn that has this grass divot thing. So you get some height, which allows you to keep your drift for basically halfway into the off-road, which is useful because we want to maximize the mushroom boost. So we don't lose any speed by drifting into halfway into the off-road. So then once we're in halfway, that's when we're going to use our mushroom. And by using our mushroom halfway, it's going to last, like we use it about here. It's going to last. We're going to be drifting. It's going to last us about, oh my God, look where we are, about right here to this other grass ramp. So now you guys see why I talked about the mushroom at the end. By using our mushroom halfway through that turn, we can get it all the way over here. You can see where this is going, to then release our mini turbo and jump so that we get all the height, all the distance to then land on this glider ramp and then do the rest of the shortcut like we talked about earlier. Yeah. All right, let's talk about that some more. Well, let's not talk about it. Let's just show it now. So it'll start to make more sense for you guys. See, look at that. It's weird. It's like a mini grass ramp. But we use that to our advantage. So what are we going to do? We're going to be drifting. We're going to use the grass ramp to our advantage. We're going to use our mushroom right when we land from the grass ramp drift thing. We're then going to counter steer our way in between those trees to then jump at the next grass ramp to then land on the glider. Let's see if I can put this all into action. Let's show the hand cam. Here we go. So we're doing this turn. You only need a single mini turbo because you're going to be using a mushroom. So boom, boom, mushroom, and then jump, and then glider. And then you do the glider like you did. You tilt down, you drift, and release. Boom. So, boom, boom, mushroom, and then jump, and then glider. And then you do the glider like you did. You tilt down, you drift, and release. Boom. Boom shortcut moment. If I were to analyze that shortcut, it seemed that the drift into the first grass turn, I actually didn't really get height, but it didn't matter too much. You do have a little bit of leeway with that. If you don't get the height there, you can still use your mushroom halfway through basically and not lose your drift. As you saw there. So it still worked out, and the jump at the glider was honestly perfect. It was perfect. I got just the right amount of height. I landed on the blue part of the glider. I got the right angle. Everything was perfect. So, I mean, you have a little bit of leeway with using the mushroom, like I said. Let's see. If I try to use it early here, let's say I'm using it early, like I use it like here. Yeah, like that's fine, right? I barely got to jump at the end. So I'd actually say that the most important part about this shortcut is the jump into the glider. But at the same time, it's kind of not, because if you noticed last video in the online races, when I was just doing it live, not even thinking about it, the jump didn't work. I got stuck to the grass and I just had to tilt back more in the air and it still worked. So full speed here. Let's see. If I'm going for the shortcut, I'm not thinking about it. I'm doing that and then I'm doing that. So slow that down, or I guess it's not done. So slow that down with the hand cam to really get a good sense of that. And we're just going to do it one more time with the Mario standard combo. All right, the Mario standard combo. This is something I like to do just to show that the shortcut is not dependent on the vehicle combination you use. It's just skill. I mean, certain combinations can be more helpful, like Scooty helps with the mini turbos, but it's still definitely possible. I've never tried it. This is going to be my first time trying it with this combo. But if you put all the steps together, actually, let me get some coins, because usually you would have some coins. There we go. If you put all the steps together and you're using any combo you want, it's going to look something like this. So you're going to do what we talked about. You're going to do the whole drifting, and then you're going to mushroom, and then you're going to jump, and then you're going to be on the glider. You're going to be perfectly lined up. You're going to tilt down, you're going to drift, and you're off. Boom. Guys, it's that simple. You just got to put everything together. I know it's a lot, If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them in the comments below. I don't think it will require a follow-up video, but if it really does, then I can do that, because I don't want to overcomplicate it, but this video has to be this long because there's just so many things to talk about. So once again, mushroom in between the trees, jump and trick off the glider. I'm moving left, I'm moving down, I'm drifting, and boom. I would say that basically on any combo except for Scooty, maybe Wiggler, actually any roller tire combo, you're just going to do the blue mini turbo release off the wall. With some other combos, you could do a super mini turbo after the wall. It's just hard on these combos that don't really like mini turbos. So let's see, can I do this thing with this combo? Yes, I can. It wasn't great. All right, so one final time. This is the essential shortcut on GBA Mario Circuit, done with the Mario Standard combo, with the hand cam, RTAT 120. Here we go. Boom. There you go, guys. I'm going to do it one more time just because I think, and you can see, like, because there are so many steps, think about it. Because there are so many steps in this shortcut, if you mess any one step up slightly, the whole shortcut doesn't come crashing down, right? So you have room for error in each individual step, just a little bit, but you don't want to mess up every part of the shortcut. But, you know, that gives you some room to, like, I only got a blue mini turbo instead of orange going into the glider. Like this orange mini turbo right there. You get a lot more speed. And if you noticed last time, I had to really tilt back on my controller because I only got that single mini turbo, not the super mini turbo. So I really had to tilt back to make sure I landed on the wall. This is the final time we're going to be doing a shortcut. It's just so much fun. So boom, boom, final boom, and then boom, and then a final boom. But actually I lied because the final boom. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. Please comment. Let me know what other shortcuts you guys want to learn. Let me know if you guys are excited for the return, because we're back, guys. We're back for a month. And oh my god, I know I've said it 6 times, but we're actually going to do it one more time. Here we go. RTAT 120 signing off with a GBA Mario Circuit glider cut. Thank you guys.